Hello, my name is Haley Carter, and I'm 30 years old. If you met me at a grocery store or saw me walking down a quiet street in Austin, Texas, you probably wouldn't guess who I am or what I've survived. I look like any other woman in her 30s, brown hair tied back, simple clothes, a calm expression I've learned to wear like armor. But beneath that calm, there are storms no one in my family ever cared to understand. I am a U.S. Air Force pilot. Not used to be. Not part-time. Not broken. Just a pilot. One who learned to fly in chaos, survive fire, and come home alone. 3 years ago, during a rescue mission overseas, our aircraft went down after taking enemy fire. Alarms screamed in my ears, smoke rushed into the cockpit, and the world around me turned into a spinning blur. There were soldiers trapped behind the cargo bay, panicked, injured, calling for help. I didn't think. I just moved. Training does that to you. You stop being a person and become purpose. A steel beam collapsed when I was pulling one of the men out. I heard a crack, sharp, like a dry branch snapping. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. That was my arm. I remember gripping the soldier's vest with my left hand, dragging him across the burning floor while my right arm hung uselessly at my side. The pain was something I can't describe, hot, blinding, almost electric, but I kept going. We made it out. All of us. I was the last one off the aircraft before it exploded behind us, lighting up the night sky. People called me a hero after that. Medals. Awards. Applause. TV interviews I refused to do. The kind of attention that feels heavy instead of flattering. But when I came home, to the people who should have cared the most, they barely noticed. My mother, Barbara, only asked, "Does this mean you'll finally stop flying?" "It's dangerous, Haley." My father, James, didn't even look up from his laptop. "You should have been more careful," he said, like I'd scraped my knee, not dragged wounded soldiers out of a burning aircraft. And my younger sister, Lily, the golden one, the shining daughter, she just smirked and called me our family's defective pilot. I still remember standing there, in the doorway of the home I grew up in, my arm wrapped tightly in a medical brace, and feeling something cold sink deeper into my chest. I didn't belong, not in that living room, not at that dinner table, not in the stories they told about their perfect family. I was the outsider, the odd one, the reminder of things they didn't want to confront. It's strange. In the Air Force, people salute me. They trust me with aircraft worth millions of dollars. They depend on me with their lives. But in my own home, I'm the forgotten daughter, the one people whisper about, the one who never shines as brightly as Lily. And yet, despite all of that, despite the fractures both inside and out, a part of me always hoped, just once, they would see me. Not the pilot, not the survivor, not the woman with a broken arm. Just me. Last week, after years of silence, I received a call from my parents. They told me they were hosting a big family reunion and wanted me there. They said it warmly, too warmly, like they were reading from a script. And now, standing here at the edge of everything that hurt me, I have no idea what waits ahead. But I do know one thing. This time, I'm walking in as the woman I became, not the girl they tried to break. The call came on a quiet Tuesday afternoon. I had just finished a physical therapy session, my arms still stiff, still healing in ways people couldn't see, when my phone buzzed. The screen showed Mom. I stared at it for a long moment, confused. My mother rarely called me. Most of the time, she preferred group messages where she and Lily exchanged endless emojis, while I quietly reacted with a thumbs up no one noticed. But that day, she called. I answered slowly. "Hello." Her voice sounded unusually warm. Too warm. "Haley, sweetheart, we've been thinking about you." "Thinking about me?" That alone should have been the first warning. She continued, "Your father and I are hosting a big family reunion next weekend. Everyone's coming, your aunts, cousins, even people flying in from out of state. And we really want you to be there." I didn't say anything. Not because I was rude, but because I genuinely didn't know what to say. For years, I had walked in and out of their house like a guest. I was the daughter they mentioned least, the one whose achievements were brushed off as dangerous, unnecessary, or not feminine enough. Before I could respond, she added, Lily and Jacob will be there too. You know how important this is for them.
Ah,
There it was. The truth behind the softness.
this wasn't about me.
It never was. It was about Lily, the golden one, wanting a perfect family picture and my absence making the frame look incomplete. She needed the older sister to stand quietly in the background, smiling politely, invisible when necessary. I took a breath. Mom, why invite me now? She laughed lightly, the kind of laugh she used when she didn't want to answer a real question. Oh, Haley, don't overthink it. We're family. We want you here. We all do. A lie wrapped in sugar. Still, a small part of me, maybe the part that still longed for belonging, felt something tug. Hope, or old wounds resurfacing. I couldn't tell. Later that night, I sat in my apartment staring at the ceiling. My decorations were simple: Air Force memorabilia, a small bookshelf, framed photos with fellow pilots, and a medal tucked into a shadow box on the wall. I lived alone. Not because I feared relationships, but because after my injury, solitude felt safer than judgment. Should I go? My mind replayed old moments: Barbara comparing Lily's hair to mine, James calling Lily the pride of the family, Lily laughing at me when I returned from deployment with a brace and bruises still yellow on my skin. Why walk into a place that had pushed me out more than once? But then another thought rose. What if I didn't go? Would that give Lily exactly what she wanted, proof that I was the weaker one? I sat up and touched my right arm, the same arm that had once been shattered. It hurt sometimes, especially in cold weather. But the pain reminded me of who I became, not who they believed I was. Finally, I made my decision. I'll go, I whispered into the room. Not because they wanted me there, but because I needed to prove something to myself, that no matter how they treated me, I wasn't the fragile girl they made me believe I was. The reunion wasn't just a gathering. It was a battlefield I had avoided for years. And this time, I would walk in with my head high. The day of the reunion arrived faster than I expected. I drove to my parents' house with the same tightness in my chest that I used to feel before difficult missions. Except this time, there were no wingmen beside me, no radio in my ear, no aircraft humming with power. Just me, and the hope that maybe something, anything would feel different this time. Their house looked exactly the same as the day I moved out. White porch, trimmed hedges, a little American flag waving in the soft Texas breeze. Classic. Comfortable. Familiar enough to sting. Cars lined both sides of the street. People were already gathering in clusters on the porch, laughing as if the world had never hurt them. I took a deep breath and walked toward the front door. Before I could even knock, I heard a familiar, upbeat voice from inside. Lily, of course. Oh my God, Jacob. You should have seen the look on their faces when I told them about our new apartment. They were so impressed. Her laugh rang like a bell, bright, confident, performative. I stepped in. Almost instantly, every head turned toward the door. Not because they were excited to see me.
No.
It was the kind of look people give when something unexpected interrupts their perfect background music. My mother, Barbara, walked over with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes.
Oh.
Haley, you made it. Made it. As if I had arrived late to a meeting no one believed I'd attend. Before I could respond, she glanced over her shoulder and waved someone forward. Lily, sweetheart, come here. Look who's finally here. Lily glided toward me in a pastel dress, glowing like she'd swallowed a chandelier. Her makeup perfect, her smile perfect, her life perfect, at least the version she chose to show. She hugged me briefly, not touching, just air and perfume. Haley! Wow, you look so simple today. A compliment wrapped in a slap. I smiled politely. Good to see you too, Lily. Behind her, my father, James, approached, but not to greet me first. He wrapped his arms around Lily. You look stunning, honey. Absolutely stunning. Then he looked at me, nodded once, and said, Hey, Haley. No hug. No warmth. Just acknowledgement. Classic. Lily looped her arm through Jacob's as she pulled him forward. This is my fiancé, Jacob. You two met briefly, but She was in uniform then, she added with unnecessary emphasis. Jacob extended a polite hand. Nice to see you again, Haley. He seemed kind enough, but uncomfortable, like he could sense the imbalance in the room without knowing its history. I walked further in, trying to blend into the background, but that was impossible here. I stuck out not because of who I was, but because of who I wasn't. I wasn't Lily. And in this house, that meant everything. As I moved toward the dining area, I overheard whispers. That's the pilot, right? I thought she'd look more military. Lily is definitely the beauty of the family. Lily heard these whispers too. She preened under the praise, tossing her hair like she was the star of a pageant. Then she turned toward me and said loud enough for nearby guests to hear. Careful with drinks, Haley, don't want you dropping anything. Your arm is still kinda weak, isn't it? A few people laughed awkwardly. Barbara didn't stop her. James didn't stop her. No one did. I just stood there, holding my breath, letting the humiliation wash over me. But instead of crumbling, something inside me began to harden. I forced a smile and answered calmly. My arm may be healing, but my grip is stronger than you think. Lily raised an eyebrow, surprised, but only for a moment. She recovered quickly, flipping her hair again and turning back to her circle of admirers. I moved to a corner near the window, unnoticed, unimportant. From there, I watched Lily effortlessly command attention. Her laugh, her posture, her confidence. She was the family's golden spotlight, and I was the shadow they kept forgetting existed. But shadows don't disappear. They just wait for the light to shift. And mine was about to shift sooner than anyone expected. Dinner was announced just as the sun dipped low, painting the windows with warm orange light. Light that felt too gentle for a night that was about to bruise me in ways no battlefield ever had. The long dining table was beautifully set, silverware perfectly aligned, wine glasses sparkling, candles flickering as if the moment mattered. Everyone took their seats in a rush of chatter and laughter. And, of course, Lily glided straight to the seat beside my parents, because where else would the family treasure sit? I approached the table slowly, scanning for an empty chair. There was only one, all the way at the end, far from everyone. Far from the conversations. Far from the spotlight Lily drowned in. I took the seat quietly, trying not to let the isolation sting. But it did. It always did. Lily looked down the table at me and gave a theatrical gasp. Oh, Haley, you're sitting way down there? Should we move you closer? Or do you prefer sitting alone? I know you're used to solitude. People chuckled. Not loudly, but enough. Barbara placed her hand lovingly on Lily's shoulder. Sweetheart, don't tease your sister too much, she said playfully, as if Lily had just told a cute joke. James raised his glass for a toast. To Lily and Jacob's bright future, and to family. Not our daughters. Not everyone here. Just Lily. And Jacob. The toast ended. Glasses clinked, except mine. I wasn't close enough. As food was passed around, dishes seemed to skip me entirely. People leaned over, reached across, but no one asked me what I wanted. Not until everything had been served. Oh, Lily exclaimed suddenly. We forgot Haley. She leaned over dramatically and whispered to her friends. She's a pilot, you know. Used to danger. She won't mind starving a bit. Laughter again. Sharper this time. One cousin nudged another, whispering, Isn't she the one who got hurt on that mission? Yeah, broke her arm or something. Poor thing. She probably couldn't carry the gear properly. Their pity felt worse than Lily's cruelty. I tried to focus on my plate, but Lily wasn't done. So tell us, Haley, she said loudly, commanding the room. When your plane got hit, did you freak out? I mean, you always were the sensitive one. Did you cry? A few people gasped softly. Others stifled smiles. I inhaled slowly.
No.
I did what I had to do. Lily widened her eyes in fake awe.
Wow.
So brave, she said sarcastically. Though you could have avoided getting hurt if you were a little smarter, right? Barbara laughed. James shook his head with a chuckle. Jacob looked uncomfortable but stayed silent. I clenched my hands under the table, nails digging into my palms. Another woman asked Lily about her wedding plans. Oh, we have everything figured out, Lily said proudly. Unlike Haley, who still can't figure out how to balance life and, oh well, anything. More laughter. The table buzzed with admiration for Lily, her job, her apartment, her relationship, her Instagram-worthy life. And every few minutes, she'd throw another jab at me. Don't drop your fork, Haley. You still shake when you lift heavy things? You sure you're okay sitting at the grown-up table? Each sentence sliced deeper, but I refused to bleed where she could see. Then came the final blow. Barbara looked at me and said sweetly, "You know, honey, you should take notes from Lily. She's everything a daughter should be." Silence. Heavy.
Crushing.
My chest tightened. My eyes burned. But I swallowed the pain. I raised my chin, stared directly at Barbara, then at James, then at Lily. My definition of a daughter, I said quietly, has always been different from yours. The table went silent for a moment, just long enough for my words to land. But Lily smirked. Relax, Haley. It's just jokes. Don't be dramatic. If only she knew what real drama sounded like. The scream of metal tearing apart in midair, the crack of bone under pressure, the roar of an explosion behind me, the silence of almost dying. I stared at my plate, breathing in slowly. None of them knew the storm rising inside me. None of them knew the shift about to come. This humiliation, this cruelty, this night, it would be the last time they ever saw me break. Because the universe was already preparing its own answer. And it was coming through the front door very, very soon. The first sign that something was about to change was the silence. It swept across the dining room like a sudden cold wind, soft at first, then sharp enough to cut through every laugh, every whisper, every fake compliment floating around Lily. A moment ago, she was bragging about the wedding venue she might book, her voice loud and sugary. But then the front door opened, and everything froze. 2 uniformed police officers stepped inside. Not security guards. Not private event staff. Real Austin Police Department officers, stern faces, badges shining under the dining room lights, radios clipped to their belts. Their boots echoed against the hardwood floor as they walked in, and every head in the room turned toward them. Conversations died mid-sentence. Wine glasses hovered in the air. Even Lily's smile faltered. James stood up first, pretending everything was normal. "Oh, officers, can we help you? Is something wrong outside?" They didn't answer him. Instead, their eyes locked on me. The taller officer stepped forward, shoulders straight, voice firm but respectful. "Excuse me, are you Haley Carter, U.S. Air Force pilot?" I blinked. I felt every pair of eyes in the room shift toward me. Confusion, curiosity, judgment mixing in the air. "Yes," I said quietly. "I am." The second officer exchanged a look with his partner. Then something happened that none of those people, none of the ones who had just finished laughing at me, ever expected. Both officers took one step forward and saluted me. The sound of Lily's fork dropping onto her plate echoed like a gunshot. The room was dead silent. My heart pounded, not out of fear, but out of shock. I had received salutes countless times, on bases, in ceremonies, on runways with the roar of engines behind me, but never in a place where I'd always been treated like an afterthought. The taller officer spoke again, louder this time, so the entire room could hear. "Ma'am, we recognized you immediately. We saw your rescue mission on the news last year. The way you flew that aircraft under fire, and how you got your entire team out alive, that was incredible. It's an honor to meet you. An honor. Not disappointment.
Not shame.
Not a burden. An honor." Lily's mouth hung open. Barbara's eyes widened as though she were seeing me for the first time. James looked like someone had punched the air out of him. Guests whispered in disbelief. "She's really the pilot? Oh my God, that was her? I saw that mission on TV. Is she a war hero?" The room that had mocked me now stared at me with awe. But the officer's tone suddenly shifted, stern, professional. "We're actually here on official business." James stepped forward, nervous. "Business? With us?" The officer shook his head.
No, sir.
We're here for Lily Carter. Lily's face drained of color.
What? Me?
Why? Everyone watched as both officers turned to her. The taller one read from his notepad, voice steady. Lily Carter, you are under investigation for student loan fraud, including falsifying documents, illegal fund transfers, and identity manipulation. The room gasped collectively. Jacob took a small step away from Lily. Barbara covered her mouth. James looked slapped by reality. Lily tried to laugh it off. That's ridiculous. I didn't do anything. Haley, tell them. This is crazy. The officers didn't flinch. We have a warrant. We need you to come with us. Lily's panic grew wild.
No.
No. Haley, do something. You're the hero, right? You save people. Save me. Her voice cracked. Her confidence crumbled. The golden child was falling apart in front of her entire kingdom. And all eyes shifted back to me. The officer beside me spoke softly. Ma'am, we're sorry to disrupt your evening, but we had to find Lily immediately. Your address was listed as her last family contact. The irony was brutal. For years, they pretended I didn't matter. And now their downfall had entered through my name. I took a slow breath, feeling the weight of every humiliation I had endured just minutes ago. The air around me felt different now. Heavier. Clearer. Like the quiet before something shatters. The universe had just knocked on the door. And it wasn't finished yet. For a moment, no one breathed. The dining room, once noisy with laughter, clinking glasses, Lily's bragging, now felt like the air had been sucked out entirely. You could almost hear the candles flickering. The two police officers stood firm, their presence filling the space with a gravity none of these people were prepared for. Lily stared at them, trembling. What do you mean fraud? I didn't do anything. Why are you saying this in front of everyone? The taller officer remained calm. Ma'am, an investigation has been ongoing for months. Multiple student loan applications were filed using other people's identities. Funds were taken, accounts linked back to yours. We have documented transfers tied directly to your signature, digital footprint, and bank activity. Each word dropped like a stone. Jacob slowly pulled his arm away from her, his face tightening as the realization hit him. Lily, tell me this isn't true. Lily's eyes widened in horror. Jacob, I swear, this is a misunderstanding. Someone framed me. I would never. But her voice cracked, and everyone noticed. Barbara whispered shakily. My Lily would never do such a thing, there must be a mistake. But even she didn't sound convinced. The second officer added, we also have statements from individuals who claim you offered to help them with loan applications for a fee. They're cooperating with the investigation. A few guests gasped. Someone whispered, oh my God, that's a federal crime. Another one murmured, she could go to prison. Lily stumbled back into her chair, gripping the edge like she might faint. This is insane. I didn't steal anything. Haley, she screamed suddenly, pointing at me as if I were a life raft. Haley, tell them. Please. You know me. You're a hero. You help people. Say something. Every eye shifted toward me again, but this time, not with mockery. Now they were waiting to see who I truly was. I stayed still. Help me, Lily begged. Her voice was breaking, her perfect image crumbling like wet paper. James stepped between the officers and Lily, his voice shaky. Officers, please don't do this. We're a respectable family. My daughter, she has never been in trouble. Let us resolve this privately. The taller officer straightened. Sir, fraud of this scale cannot be handled privately. There are victims. And we have a legal obligation. The silence that followed was suffocating. Lily looked around desperately, searching for someone, anyone, to defend her. But the room that once adored her now recoiled. Aunts hid their faces. Cousins looked away. Neighbors exchanged judgmental glances. The officers continued, Ma'am, this evening is not about shaming you. But we cannot delay your required appearance at the station. Lily sobbed uncontrollably. No, this can't be happening. Haley, please. I felt something twist inside my chest, Not sympathy, but recognition. This was the same room where she humiliated me, where she mocked me for my broken arm, where my parents laughed at her cruelty. And now that same room was witnessing her unravel in real time. Barbara suddenly rushed to Lily's side, her voice frantic. "Officers, please give us a moment.
Please.
My daughter is emotional. This is a shock." But the officers didn't move. Jacob stepped farther away from Lily. "I need space," he muttered, his voice cold. He looked betrayed, embarrassed, like the perfect image Lily had sold him had shattered. James stood frozen, pale and stunned. His perfect daughter. His golden child. Now exposed in front of everyone. Nobody spoke. Nobody defended her. Nobody stepped forward to help. The hall was no longer full of celebration. It was full of judgmental eyes and collapsing facades. And Lily, once glowing with arrogance, was finally seeing herself the way she had always seen me. Alone. Vulnerable. Powerless. The weight of truth had settled over everyone. And the next move was mine. The moment the officers stepped forward to take Lily in, panic shattered what little dignity my family had left. Lily stumbled toward me, tears streaking down her once perfect makeup. Her voice was hoarse, desperate, trembling in a way I had never heard from her. "Haley, please don't let them take me. You're the only one who can fix this. You're the brave one, the strong one. You always save people. Save me, too." She dropped to her knees in front of me, gripping my hands so tightly I could feel her nails pressing into my skin. The same hands that had once shoved my weakness in my face were now clinging to me as if I were her last chance at survival. "Haley, I made mistakes, okay? But I didn't mean for anything to happen. You know me. I'm your sister. Please help me." Her words dissolved into sobs. I stood frozen, watching her fall apart. A part of me, some small part still clinging to old childhood memories, wanted to reach out. But the reality of everything she had done weighed heavier than my sympathy. Before I could speak, Barbara rushed over, her breath shaking, her face drained of color. "Oh, God. Lily, baby, stand up, please." Then she turned to me, her hands clasped together like she was praying. "Haley, sweetheart, talk to them. Tell them she's innocent. Tell them she didn't mean anything wrong. You're a hero. They'll listen to you. Please save your sister." It was ironic. The mother who never defended me, never softened her voice for me, never begged on my behalf, was now kneeling for Lily's sake. James followed next, his voice breaking in a way I had never heard in my entire life. "Haley, please. We know you have connections. You know higher-ups, you can convince them. This will destroy Lily's future. Think about our family. Think about us." He hesitated, then added quietly, "Think about your sister. Don't let her life end like this." Their desperation hung in the air like thick fog. Guests watched silently, some pitying Lily, some judging her, all waiting to see what I would do. For years I had been invisible. Tonight, I was the one holding all the power. Lily sobbed harder, clinging to my legs. "I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry for calling you broken. I'm sorry for laughing at you. I was stupid. I was jealous. You're strong and brave, and I was insecure. Please don't let them take me. You're my big sister. Do something." Her words, raw, frantic, echoed in my chest. I knelt down to her level. People leaned in, waiting for a tender moment, waiting for reconciliation, waiting for forgiveness. But forgiveness is earned. And Lily had earned nothing. I gently removed her hands from mine. "Lily," I said softly, "I have saved people because they were victims, because they were innocent, because they were trapped in something they didn't choose." Her crying slowed, her eyes searching mine with growing fear. "But this," I continued, "this wasn't an accident. You did this. You lied. You stole. You used people. You hurt people. You mocked others while pretending to be perfect." Barbara gasped. "Haley." I cut her off with a calm, steady voice. "Mom, I've spent my entire life being treated like a disappointment, like a burden. like someone who didn't deserve pride or love. And even today, right before all this, you laughed when Lily mocked me. Barbara's eyes filled with tears. James lowered his head. I turned back to Lily. I am not your shield, I whispered. And I will not cover your crimes. Her mouth opened in horror. No. Haley, no, please. I stood up slowly. The room was silent. Frozen. Breathless. I looked at the officers and nodded once. If she broke the law, then do your job. The officers stepped forward. Lily screamed, Haley, don't do this to me. Her voice cracked, breaking into raw sobs as the officers gently but firmly took her by the arms. Barbara wailed. James looked like the ground had disappeared beneath him. But I felt something lift off my chest. Years of pain. Years of trying to belong. Years of being unseen. Finally, I chose myself. And for the first time in my life, I felt whole. The moment Lily was escorted out of the dining room, a strange hush settled over the space, as if the house itself had gone still. Moments ago, this room had echoed with laughter, with pride, with the unshakable confidence of a family that believed nothing could ever crumble them. Now, it felt hollow. The candles flickered weakly. Half-finished plates sat untouched. People stared at the doorway where Lily had disappeared, like they were trying to make sense of the wreckage left behind. Barbara sank into a chair, sobbing uncontrollably. James stood like a statue, one hand resting on the back of a chair, as if that was the only thing keeping him upright. Jacob quietly excused himself, eyes filled with a storm of betrayal and disbelief. He didn't say a single word to Lily's parents. He didn't even look back. Guests whispered in corners, exchanging uncomfortable glances. They hid this. Did they know? Poor Haley all these years. For the first time in my life, the whispers weren't about how imperfect I was. They were about the truth. I stood near the center of the room, steady, grounded, strangely at peace, like the world had finally clicked into place. Barbara lifted her tear-streaked face toward me. Haley, honey, don't leave.
Please.
We can fix this. We can get through this as a family. Family. The word tasted different now. James stepped forward, his voice stiff and trembling. We weren't fair to you. I see that now. I was wrong. I should have treated you better.
Should have.
Past tense. A past they never tried to correct. Barbara reached out a hand toward me, as if touching me could erase years of wounds. You're our daughter. We love you. We always have. I looked at her hand, then at the faces around me, some ashamed, some shocked, some pretending they hadn't laughed at me just an hour ago. For a long moment, I said nothing. The silence grew heavy. It wrapped around us like a closing curtain. Then, I took one slow step back. Love isn't something you say, I replied quietly. It's something you show. Barbara's lips trembled. Haley, please. I swallowed hard, feeling years of unsaid words rising inside me like a tide I could no longer hold back. All my life, I said softly, I tried to earn a place here. I tried to be the daughter you wanted. I tried to make you proud. But every time I walked through this door, I left feeling smaller than when I arrived. James lowered his head. Barbara covered her mouth. I continued, voice steady and calm. I have flown through storms that ripped the sky open. I've landed aircraft while bleeding. I've pulled men out of fire with a broken arm. I've faced death without trembling. But somehow facing this family always hurt more than any battlefield. Tears blurred Barbara's vision. James's shoulders slumped. I took another step backward.
You didn't lose me tonight, I said.
You lost me years ago, every time you chose Lily over me. Every time you laughed when she humiliated me. Every time you made me feel like an outsider in my own home. A quiet gasp echoed from someone in the room. I looked around, at the relatives who once pretended not to see my pain. I'm not angry, I added softly. I'm done. Barbara reached toward me again. Please, Haley, don't go. Don't walk away. But I already knew the truth. Sometimes walking away isn't cruelty. Sometimes it's survival. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight lift from my chest, replaced by something warm and freeing. I walked toward the door, each step steady, certain, final. At the doorway, I paused. Everyone watched me, some with regret, some with awe, some with shame. I turned slightly, meeting their eyes one last time. And then I spoke the words that would stay with them long after I was gone. Blood may create a family, but only respect creates a home. Without another look back, I walked out into the cool Texas night, free, whole, and finally enough. Thank you for listening to this story. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories every day. Your support helps these stories reach more people, so don't forget to turn on notifications and stay connected.
See you in the next story.